Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Today I have for you guys 10 of the most overrated fragrances of all time. The fragrances that you guys yourself are sick and tired of smelling and of hearing about and of wearing. Stuff just sucks so hard. That's what we're talking about here today. On the community tab a little while back, I asked you guys what you thought the most overrated fragrances ever were, and that's what we're doing. So I've got your answers here, and there was a clear winner. There was a very obvious winner, the number one fragrance that you guys hate the most, and we'll do that one last. All of the fragrances I'm gonna talk to you guys about here today are linked in the description. Let's get it started with one from Drintar 4423. Drintar, I think that's how you would say that. And he says that the most overrated fragrance in the world of all time ever is this one. What? Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau Paradise Garden. TikTok skyrocketed its demand and price to absurdity as well. See, there's your problem. It's not this fragrance, it's TikTok. That's the problem. Just as an aside, I think this is really funny. I've posted on TikTok before. Maybe I'll post on there again, I'm not sure. I gotta say, like, when I get on there, my brain like just opens up like holes in my brain, just gaping empty spots in my brain. It's like I pull up the app, but yeah, so that's your problem. TikTok skyrocketed the price, but what I was saying, I got an email today actually from L'Oreal wanting to know if I wanted to be on their media list, their press list, I guess, to get new releases from different brands. They did say it would take 4 weeks from like when the brand actually launches a fragrance to when they would ship it to me, and I just ignored them. Not because I'm being rude, but because by that point I'm already gonna have purchased the fragrance and reviewed it. Although maybe I should actually get on that list because then I can get one for free and just give it away to you guys. So I might do that. Yeah, maybe that worked. But they reached out to me, not because of this YouTube channel, but because of my TikTok. My TikTok as of right now has 16,000 followers, subscribers, whatever. And like I said, I never use it. And they were like, hey, we saw your TikTok, it's so great. We want to put you on our press list. And I'm like, okay. YouTube doesn't exist to brands is what I'm saying. But anyway, Paradise Garden, most overrated ever for me? No, I actually love this. I think this is one of the better Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances out there. Would I go as far to say is this the best? No, I think Le Male Elixir is better than this. I think that Le Male Parfum is better than this, but I think Paradise Garden is fantastic. And I think Le Beau Le Parfum, very good as well. Maybe, you could say that it's very frustrating, like you said, that the price is out of control, that it's very difficult to get, and I'm totally on board with that. I think that that is a complete pain, and I absolutely hate it, whether we're talking YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, when a fragrance gets hyped and you have like scalpers who move in and will purchase up a bunch of bottles and start jacking the price up. I hate that, like that drives me insane, but I personally don't think this is overrated, but I respect your right to think it is. Next up, we got Peter Williams, 6239, who says, Aventus, I'm even tired of hearing references to it. And yet, by you referencing it, there is another reference to Aventus that you hate. Peter, you just became the problem. Aventus, yeah, I mean, what can you say? It's the best-selling men's niche fragrance of all time. It has caused a million different alternatives, whether we're talking designers, niche, or clones. And it's one of those things that I also, over time have gotten tired of hearing about it because it's like, yeah, Aventus, I got it, I get it. But at the same time, you also understand why, because it's changed everything, right? And you can wear this stuff anytime, all year. So overrated, maybe. Overplayed, yeah, probably. Now we've got one that comes to us from Head Trauma 7663, who says, Prada Luna Rosa Ocean was a big disappointment for me. I expected so much more. I never tried the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum, but all the other Luna Rossa fragrances are better. A lot of better blue fragrances out there too. So I'll tell you, the first time that I smelled Luna Rossa Ocean, my thought was, it's fine, but it doesn't have as much of that like attention grabbing, just immediately appealing kind of feel, right? Like the first time you smell Bleu de Chanel or Y Eau de Parfum or Sauvage, for a lot of people, not everybody obviously, but a lot of people, when they smell those, they're just like, oh, I'll take it. You know, they have that immediate mass appeal. And with Luna Rossa Ocean, I feel like it's more, you smell it and you go, that's pretty pleasant. That's nice. But it doesn't necessarily blow a whole lot of people away. That can be a good thing, because some people don't want a fragrance that's as loud as some of the other blue fragrances can be, right? And this one is a little more mellow. It's a little more classy, a little more reserved. You know, it's got that Prada clean kind of feel to it. It's still really versatile. It's easy to wear. And so for people that are looking for a blue fragrance that is a little more that, this works great. But for people that really want to be just blown away, this one, not quite as exciting. I did come around to like this more the more that I wore it, but I do think to my own personal taste that, like you said, there are blue fragrances out there that are better, both more expensive and cheaper ones. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. Johnny O 2654 says, Aqua de Jo, and all the blame is on the marketing department due to re-releases, inconsistent bottle sizes, and just overall confusion that the line has dealt with recently. So this is Aqua de Jo Parfum right here with the nice magnetic cap. And this is part of the issue right here. There's Aqua de Jo Parfum 2024 now, right? Even though it just came out, they changed it up. And that is exactly what Johnny O is talking about. Aqua de Jo is just all over the place. It feels like Giorgio Armani doesn't know exactly what they're doing here. They re-released Aqua de Jo Profundo into a new presentation. They changed bottle sizes. So depending on where you look, one fragrance is gonna have, 125 ml size bottles. And then that same fragrance, because it's been tweaked and changed, is 100 mils at another website where they haven't updated to the new presentation and the new reformulation, and it's just a freaking mess. If you don't keep up with Aqua de Jo, if you don't keep up with fragrances, then you wouldn't know all the stuff is going on, and you wouldn't know potentially that there's a change from one year to another, because this isn't something that really generally happens with fragrances. They changed the eau de toilette, so it's in a new bottle style, and people have been saying that that one's been reformulated also. I haven't smelled the new eau de toilette bottle style yet, but that's the word on the street. The eau de parfum changed, Profundo changed, Parfum changed, Profumo got discontinued, Profundo Lights got discontinued, Profundo changed, Profundo Parfum, blah, there's too much stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of just mess that Armani has made. And then same stuff going on with Armani Code. They changed the bottles, so those are different now. They discontinued a lot of ones that people loved, Profumo, Absolute, Colonia. So Armani is a fragrance house that, it's been around toward the top of the fragrance houses for men for a long time, with Code and Aqua de Jo especially. But they are just all over the place right now. I don't know if I would call them overrated, but a mess. Yeah. John Massimiliano, 1859. Sorry if I butchered that. By the Fireplace from Maison Margiela. He didn't have too much to say. This is an interesting choice because, for me anyway, I feel like if you're talking hype, something being really rated heavily, it would be Jazz Club from this house. By the Fireplace to me has always been like Jazz Club's little brother to an extent, in the sense that they both would be worn during fall and winter. They're both warmer fragrances. They both have that sweet aspect to them. And even the general idea behind them is not really that far removed between the two, right? So I would just think that there's more likelihood that people would get Jazz Club and be let down by that one than by the Fireplace. That being said, Maison Martin Margiela has been one of those houses that for a lot of people they love, absolutely love it. But other people will see that love online and they'll scoop one of the fragrances up, one or two of them, and they'll be like, they're okay, but it's not like anything. And that's where a lot of the disappointment comes in with this house. Most of the time it's from people who will see all that love online, they'll scoop it up and they'll be let down. So I can see that happening with this one. I don't think it's an awful fragrance. I think it's pretty nice. Maybe not something that will absolutely blow people's minds, but it's okay. Then we got RAM 95. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme is overrated. I've tried to like it so many times, but every time I smell it, I just think, meh. This is an interesting choice because when this really took off, it was being hyped everywhere. So for a few years, I feel like maybe around the beginning of my channel, it had already been hyped for a few years at that point, a couple years. And then afterward, it was hyped for maybe another couple years. So I think this came out in 2012. Yeah, 2012. So from around there to probably 2017, 2018 maybe, it got hyped a lot. So yeah, a solid chunk of time there. Now here in 2024, I don't think it gets that same amount of hype as it used to, because trust me, if you weren't around back then, like consuming any kind of fragrance content, you missed it. This stuff was everywhere. I think that this legitimately got more hype than any of the Bleu de Chanels. It felt like it was like just, hey, get this, get this, get this, get it. You get 22,000 compliments every day. You will become the king of a small sovereign nation if you wear this. Trust me, this stuff is so good, you will have ghosts complimenting you. They'll come out of the walls. And I was big talk. I was going over to the other side, but I caught a whiff of that. That's fire. All right, peace out. Back to the glowing light. The amount of hype this got was just like insane, okay? So I get it. And truth be told, when this was in the throes of its hype, when it was at the pinnacle of hypedom, I was also kind of like you. I was like, it's good, but not that good. Over time, it is one of those fragrances that, as I wore it a little bit, kind of, again, like you, trying to go, oh, what am I missing here? It did grow on me. That being said, this style of fragrance, it's not something that's like never been done, right? It's got a fresh aspect to it. It's very Tonka forward. And that Tonka forward nature of this one, at the time this came out, Tonka was like everywhere. I mean, there was a lot of Tonka in fragrances, and I'm not saying there isn't now, but there was even more so, I feel like, back then. Maybe that's just me kind of like remembering the times and what people were talking about, but that's what it feels like. So yeah, this one is one of those fragrances where I think the hype was maybe overblown, just a bit heavy-handed, but for what it was made for, it does it really well. Like, it's really versatile, it's got good performance, it is a compliment puller, but for a lot of people, will it come across boring to them? Also, yes. Eden BRZ95 says, YSL Eau de Parfum is so overrated, in my opinion. Just way too harsh and synthetic for the price point, especially when Chanel and Dior have more of a natural smell to them. We're getting so close to the winner, the #1 fragrance, which I guess is not actually a winner if it's the one that was very clearly voted the most overrated ever, but all right. I like Y. I like Y Eau de Parfum. I like Y Le Parfum. I like Y Eau de Toilette. I like Y Live. I like Y. Harsh and synthetic. Synthetic, yes. Like, if you say synthetic, in terms of the sweetness that comes across in Eau de Parfum, I'm not gonna argue that. I don't think anybody's gonna argue that. I don't think anybody smells this one and goes like, wow, hyper natural. Although to be fair, most fragrances, especially if we're talking designers, are really not hyper natural smelling, right? Because these are things that are created as their own composition. They're not trying to directly emulate something in nature typically. So they're not saying, hey, here's why Eau de Parfum, it smells exactly like a cedar tree. You know what I mean? Or it smells exactly like an apple, because a lot of people would go, wow, that smells just like an apple. I don't want to smell just like an apple. So I get it, like synthetic carries a negative connotation, but synthetic does not mean something negative, or it shouldn't. There are very expensive synthetic ingredients, just like there are very inexpensive natural ingredients, depending on what you're talking about. So that's one thing I would say in general, you know, probably don't try to use synthetic as a negative descriptor. There are times where it makes sense. Like I said here, the synthetic sweetness. Sure, everybody that smells this is gonna be like, yeah, it doesn't smell exactly like something in nature would smell, the way that sweetness comes across. And that's fine. To use that descriptor to put it out there as, you know, the sweetness is synthetic in nature, that's okay. But I think if you start saying synthetic and you use that just as a throwaway term to put things down like, oh, synthetic, 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 that's, you know, it's a slippery slope. All that said, for me on a personal level, it doesn't come across harsh, but I can see where for some people, why Eau de Parfum can be overbearing, you know, overwhelming, and just be one of those scents that you're like, oh, it's too strong, it's too much, I don't like it, you know, it's not working for me. So I can get that. I will say though, if you're saying Dior Sauvage has a more natural smell to it than Eau de Parfum, I'm gonna have to disagree there. That's no shot at Dior Sauvage, but I think most people, you know, if you say, hey, here's Sauvage, here's why, I don't think you're gonna get a whole bunch of people going, oh, Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, wow, it's so natural smelling. Wow, that ambroxan, just like in nature. Maybe if you say like Dior Homme Sport, or something like that, Dior Homme Cologne, maybe, I don't know, Eau Sauvage or something, you say has a more natural smell to it, but those are different types of fragrances. So when you say Chanel and Dior, I'm assuming you mean Bleu de Chanel and Sauvage. So why Eau de Parfum? I offer you up to the fragrance gods as being overrated, but it is not my choice. Garrett Mercier, 9186 says, Versace Hawass. Who the F wants a cinnamon spicy note throwing off their freshy fragrance? Oh man. I mean, you said it all, right? Hawass, very popular, known for its similarity to Invictus Aqua. And yeah, this is one that's a little love it or hate it. It is, yeah. It's one that some people will go to bat for Hawass to the death, right? You talk crap about Hawass, they're coming for you. That was them stabbing me in the neck. Because it's got that performance, it's got pretty good versatility, it's an attention grabber, and it doesn't cost all that much. But there are other people who, and this happens, like with all these, they see the hype, they see the people heaping praise on it, and they're like, I'm blind by that, and it better blow me away. And they get it in, they smell it, and it just doesn't jive with them for one reason or another. And then it's like, oh, this was hyped, I didn't like it, it's the worst thing on earth, and everyone else is wrong. And Hawass is one of those fragrances that, like I said, it can be divisive. I know it's got hardcore fanboys, people that love it, ride or die, but there are a lot of people who just, this does not work well for them. You know, that type of sweetness or that cinnamon spicy note just ruins it for them. Hawass, I can't believe you let Garrett down like that. I am disappointed in you. And I'm disappointed in you. Why? Eau de Parfum. I don't know what I'm doing here. NKO Sinath 1 says, Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. Everyone wears it now. That's kind of makes me laugh. Like, Eros? It sucks. Everybody's wearing this now. Used to be so underground. Remember when Eros was underground and nobody knew about it? This has always been pretty popular. So yeah, I mean, ever since it came out, it's been one of the best-selling men's fragrances. But that also means it's been talked about a whole lot over the years, and now we've got a new one coming out, Eros Energy, so gotta be more Eros hitting your airwaves before too long. I think that From my perspective, Eros is a pretty good buy. You know, from discounters, it doesn't cost that much. Versace fragrances usually are pretty affordable at discounters. So a lot of people can afford it, which is good. Again, it's extremely popular. So if you're looking for something people aren't wearing, that's not it. And maybe that's, you know, part of the reason that it made the list here, because it is so popular. Just like why, you know, tons of people wearing that, tons of people wearing this and this and this. And yeah, if those don't work for you and everybody's hammering it in your face 24/7, yeah, you're gonna be like, dude, get the crap out of here, right? So like I said, I was poking fun at some of these, but I absolutely get where, you know, Garrett and Eden, BRZ, and some of these other guys are coming from, because if it doesn't work for you and you give it a chance and you wear it, and everybody else is just constantly harping about it, myself included, or other YouTubers or TikTok or whatever, it gets to the point where you're just like, oh, God, this is crap again, man. Like, I tried it, it doesn't work, I don't like it. I just don't want to hear about it. I get it. I've gotten sidetracked again. But Eros, yeah, pretty cheap from discounters, good versatility. For me personally, I do prefer the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum and Flame over the original, but the original is the one that started it all off, so I can't hate on it. Okay, it's time for the creme de la creme, the #1 most overrated fragrance, and this one, I feel like half the comments on this question were this fragrance. It was just like everybody was hammering this one. It was the winner of most overrated fragrance by a landslide. Legitimately, I think you can add up every single other fragrance, put it together, and this one got more upvotes. Baccarat Rouge 540 from Maison Francis Kirkshon. Go for Mo says BR 540, not even close. That was the #1 comment. The comment directly below that from BAUEC 6206, BR 540 in all its clones. Ugh. And then I think the one underneath that was also BR 540, and the one underneath that also was as well when I looked. Yeah, BR 540, very clearly the most overrated fragrance of all time. I gotta tell you guys, yeah, I'm over this one also. I have covered this fragrance, I've covered lots of different clone fragrances on this one. There are a lot of niche fragrances that smell similar to this. There are a lot of designer fragrances that smell similar to this. It's just, you know, it's done. And I think it becomes even more so when this fragrance, probably more so than any other really big, expensive niche fragrance, is very easily cloned, which I just talked about. You know, I've covered a bunch of them. But you can get clones of this that are like 15 bucks, 20 bucks. They get really close to smelling like this. And it's been like that for years. Even when the majority of clone fragrances years ago were pretty bad and weren't that close to the fragrance that they were cloning, you know, they'd get you kind of the way there and you'd be like, well, if I stretch my imagination, it kind of smells like that. The BR 540 clones were like, oh, that's pretty good, that's pretty close. And so the fact that this is, you know, $300+ at retail, and it's just literally everywhere, and enormously popular. And then you smell it and it has that kind of cotton candy-esque vibe. It does, after a while, become something where you're like, okay, I'm over it. There have actually been fragrances that I've gotten in, you know, that I purchased on Joma Shop or Fragrance Buy or just wherever, and from different clone brands, and I'm trying to find like some new stuff, and I'll smell it and go, oh God, it's another one. It's another BR 540 one. And I don't even talk about it on the channel. I just put it up. I'm like, I'm done too, yeah. So this one, I agree. This stuff is just overplayed, over it. But it has absolutely changed the game, just like Aventus. BR 540, massively, massively influential. You can't take away from that. I mean, it has, like I said, encouraged, inspired so many different fragrances out there, both niche fragrances where other niche companies are doing their version of this and then just giving it a new name and a new story, and then they put it in a red bottle and you're like, okay, So yeah, you can't take that away from me. You cannot take that away from it. But do I really want to smell it anymore? So there we go, guys. There are your most overrated fragrances of all time. Some of these I actually like a whole lot, but I do get the reasoning behind all of them. So I'm not disagreeing with you when I poke a little fun or, you know, talk about my point of view on these. All of you guys make good points as well. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you guys again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.